Hello there and welcome to Black Jackal Gaming. Today we're going to look at the best combination in the Space Marine Codex. So this combination gives you a high volume of firepower, it's got really good weapon strength and high AP, which is always handy, some great abilities you can lean into, and the units are absolutely drowning in keywords, which is always useful. There's easy access to a lot of buffing strats, and it's relatively cheap to field as well. So the core unit we're going to be using is the Hell Blaster squad. So this comes in a unit of 5 or 10 and costs 115 or 230 points for 10 models. They come with the plasma incinerators. They have the assault and heavy keyword, and if you choose to supercharge, they get the hazardous keyword as well. So this is a 24-inch range, 2 attacks, ballistic skill 3, strength 7, minus 2 AP and 1 damage. If you choose to supercharge, then you get plus 1 strength, AP and damage, which is very nice, being strength 8, minus 3 AP and 2 damage. The sergeant can also come equipped with the plasma pistol, and that's pretty much all the upgrades you can have for the unit. Now they do have a really nice ability called For the Chapter. What this allows you to do is each time a model is destroyed, on a 3+, that model can shoot after the attacking unit has finished making all of its attacks. Now it's important to bear in mind that any models that have died due to a hazardous test will be able to shoot as well. And when you are shooting back using this ability, you do not need to take a hazardous test because they are automatically passed. So if you do lose a model through a failed hazardous test, and then you're still able to shoot on that 3+, you won't lose an additional model on top because you don't have to take the risk of taking the hazardous test. So looking at the leader that's going to take charge, we'll be looking at Azrael, who is of course the Supreme Grandmaster of the Dark Angels chapter. He costs 105 points, which is quite reasonable. And he comes equipped with a Lion's Wrath. Now this is anti-infantry 4+. So always wounds infantry at a 4+. Devastating wounds. So on those critical rolls of a 6+, you bypass the save throw. And it's rapid fire 1. So when you're within half range, you get an additional shot. So this is a 24-inch range weapon. Got 2 attacks, ballistic skill 2+, strength 8, minus 3 AP and 2 damage. He also comes with a melee option called the Sword of Secrets. This again has the devastating wounds keyword. This is 6 attacks, weapon skill 2+, strength 6, a very nice minus 4 AP and 2 damage. So looking across at his abilities, he comes with the Supreme Grandmaster, and this allows all weapons equipped by the unit to have sustained hits 1. This is for ranged and melee weapons, which is very nice to have. He then also has a Masterful Tactician. At the start of the command phase, you gain 1 CP for just being on the battlefield. So if you keep this guy alive during the entire game, you are going to earn 5 additional command points, which is always very useful. There's a lot of good stratagems that you can use in the detachment we're going to be targeting, and he doesn't get that reduction in CP cost, so gaining an additional 5 CP is going to be very nice for the battle. He then also has a war gear called the Lion Helm. What this allows you to do is that it gives all models in the unit a 4-up invulnerable save. As well as this, once per battle until the end of the chosen phase, the bearer's unit gains the Feel No Pain 4+ ability. This is against all wounds. So this makes the unit incredibly durable when Azrael is leading them, and that one chance in the game where you do come under some very heavy firepower, you are going to have that Feel No Pain just to keep you around a little bit longer. Now there's an optional leader we can add in to add a little extra oomph. So this is the Primaris Lieutenant. He comes in at 65 points. The best loadout you're going to give him is a mastercrafted bolter, power fist and heavy bolt pistol, because you're going to get the best of both words from him there. So the heavy bolt pistol and bolter, that's your general profile, so we won't go through that. But the power fist comes in with 4 attacks, weapon skill 2+, strength 8, minus 2 AP and 2 damage. And of course that will have the sustained hits from Azrael as well. Here's an ability called a Tactical Precision. This grants the bearer's unit lethal hits abilities on all weapons, which is very nice. So you can get sustained hits and lethal hits from ranged and melee attacks. He also has Target Priority. What Target Priority allows you to do is that you can shoot or declare a charge in the turn in which you fell back. So if you are wanting to hold an objective and someone charges into you, you can fall back in your turn and shoot them still. And if they haven't died, you can charge in to finish them off, because you will have the Sword of Secrets and the Power Fist from the Lieutenant, so you're actually quite handy in combat. And what detachment are we going to look at using with this combination? Well, the Gladius Task Force, which is the Ultramarines chapter detachment, is a very good one to use. This gives us the access to doctrines, so 3 times again you can choose to be an Assault, Devastator, or Tactical Doctrine, and it's the Devastator Doctrine that we are going to be mainly looking at. This allows you to advance and still shoot, which is very good, even though we do have the Assault keyword on our plasma guns. We do have the guns for Azrael and the Lieutenant that doesn't have the Assault keyword, so it's quite nice to have anyway. There's an enhancement called Fire Discipline. We all know about this one. It's very good. This grants sustained hits 1, which is a bit redundant as we do already have that with Azrael. But what this actually allows you to do is that when you're in Devastator Doctrine, you can critically hit on a 5+. So this activates sustained hits and the lethal hits from the Lieutenant. So this is adding a substantial amount of efficiency from this, going from a 6 to a 5 in your sustained hits and your lethal hits. There's a stratagem that's quite good adaptive strategy. This allows you to put the unit into a certain doctrine, which we will be using Devastator Doctrine at all times. Having that additional CP from Azrael is going to allow us to choose to be in the 4 times of the game when we're not actually in the Devastator Doctrine. And then there's another one called Storm of Fire. This allows you to ignore cover, and when you're in the Devastator Doctrine, it improves your AP by 1. So this is going to reduce the reduction in AP essentially from your opponent being in cover, and you're getting +1 AP on top of that as well. So looking at the output we're going to get from the unit has a 3-up save as normal, and then a 4-up invulnerable save for the entire game. As well as this, in one phase during the game, they'll have a Feel No Pain 4-up against all wounds. This makes them very, very durable, especially when they've got the 2 characters that have a lot of wounds with them as well. The models will have the opportunity to shoot on death on a 3+, and that's even if they die via hazardous, which is very nice to have. And the unit will have the sustained hits 1 and lethal hits on a 5+ by the Azrael and the enhancement on the Lieutenant. This gives you a 20 shots in total for a 10-man unit, and you'll be hitting on 2s when stationary because you have the heavy keyword, and you can advance and shoot on 3s, which is very nice to have. And if you're using Oaths of Moment on the target that you're going to be targeting with this unit, you get to re-roll everything. So if you're standing still, you hit on 2s, you re-roll on the 1s, but more importantly, this allows us to fish for the 5s and 6s. So if you are hitting on 2s and you've rolled 2, 3, and 4s, you have the opportunity to re-roll those to try and get those 5s and 6s, because we want the sustained hit and the lethal hit to make sure we're doing maximum damage. You're going to be wounding the majority of the infantry on the game on 2s and 3s, because most infantry are toughness 3 and toughness 4. Since we have strength 8, we're going to be wounding those on 2s. Slightly tougher units that are going to be on your 5s and 6s and 7s, we're going to be wounding them on the 3s. And then when we look at light tanks, we'll be on 3s and 4s for those, because most of the time they are toughness 6 to 8. And then your heavier tanks, your 9 and upwards, we're going to be on 5s to wound. But it's important to note that for the heavy tanks, we are going to be fishing for those lethal hits on 5+, so hopefully we won't actually have a lot of hits going through because we've already automatically hit. So it'll just be those sustained hits we'll be looking at, having the additional wounds on those 5+. As well as this, we will be ignoring cover and granting an additional AP, so they won't get the +1 to this save throw. This will put us on -4 AP, which is absolutely massive. If the opponent we're targeting doesn't have an invulnerable save, we are going to be bypassing most of the saves in the game, which is very nice to do, especially when all of this is on damage 2 as well. So it's a nice profile where we are going to be one-tapping Space Marines at all times. Now, they do have the ability, the Space Marines, to use the likes of Armor of Contempt to reduce incoming AP by 1, but that's going to put them on 6s. So every failed 6, we are going to kill a Marine. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to see all future content. If you want to support the channel, consider a membership or popping across to Patreon. Check out all these other videos. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.